In the previous video, we briefly looked at how I used my Sony Ericsson T610 and Bluetooth to get images off the phone onto my iPAQ PocketPC PDA. And in today's episode, we're going to take a deeper delve into the iPAQ itself. Opening the box, we are first presented with some manuals, warranty information, and things like user guides and where to get support from. Usually inside the box would be 2 CDs, which sadly I no longer have. One was for ActiveSync. On your computer, ActiveSync synchronizes email, calendar, contacts, and tasks with Microsoft Outlook, along with internet bookmarks and other files. It was also used to install software on your device. And the second CD with some HP software on, usually third-party trialware. But enough of all the paperwork, let's get to the rest of the contents. Here we have the PDA itself without its jacket. Compaq used these jackets to add additional hardware support to the device, such as GPS or compact flashcard support, or additional batteries. This is the jacket that came with the box, which protects the screen from scratches whilst it's in your pocket, but still allows access to the record button along the side of the device, as well as the data power port at the bottom. It also stops the buttons on the front being accidentally pressed and launching programs unintentionally. The PDA slides in and out of the jacket and is held in place firmly. Next we have the docking station. This was interesting to me as it was my first PDA to include USB support, as well as having the older and much slower serial connection. USB was faster for moving data to and from the device and didn't require manually setting a faster baud rate over the serial ports. USB doesn't charge the device when docked, so you have to use the included power adapter. The power adapter includes a standard barrel-style jack, which is on the rear of the docking station, as well as an adapter for plugging directly into the PDA if you didn't want to bring the docking station with you. As the battery life of these devices was a little over 5 hours, being able to bring the power adapter on its own was a bonus. The point of a PDA is that they are small, and having to carry a docking station around just to charge the device would add quite a bit of bulk to your bag. So we now have the PDA in its docking station and plugged into mains power. There is a flashing LED indicator at the top right to show that the device is charging, and on the left-hand side of the speaker is another LED which blinks blue when Bluetooth is turned on. There is also an ambient light sensor which is used to automatically adjust the screen's brightness depending on lighting conditions. On the top we have a 3.5mm headphone jack as well as where the stylus is stored. A nice feature of the docking station are 2 holes which allow you to place the stylus in when not in use. In the top middle of the device is an SD card slot. SD cards for Pocket PCs were relatively new at this point, but allowed the devices to stay small as previous PDAs used compact flash cards which are much thicker and larger. On the side is a record button. Pressing this would launch the voice recorder program, and pressing it once again would start the recording. Pressing it a third time would end the recording. There are no buttons along the other side of the device. Under the display are 4 buttons, which out of the box launch stock applications, but can be customized by the user should they so desire. Starting from the left we have Calendar, Contacts, Inbox and iTasks, as well as a directional D-pad of sorts, which can also be pressed in and used as a button. So powering on the device we are first taken to the Today screen. This shows any upcoming calendar items or tasks. In the top left of the screen is the Start button. Of course, this wouldn't be Windows without one. This menu can be customized, allowing you to choose which programs are shown here. Think of it more as pinned programs on the Start menu of Windows 10. Tapping Programs takes you into an icon view of the programs available to you. Across the top of the Start menu is a row of 7 icons. These are your most recently used programs and can be launched by tapping on them. Programs would show here if launched from the Start menu itself or from the Programs folder. It can also be used to switch between open programs, sort of like a taskbar. So what did I use my PDA for? Aside from storing my holiday pictures as mentioned previously, at the time I was working for a bank in London and had a daily commute on the train of just over an hour. So I'd load up my SD card with music and use it as an MP3 player. As I only had a 128MB SD card, I compressed MP3s to 96 kilobits per second instead of the usual 128 or higher. As my headphones weren't great, it was a decent compromise of quality over quantity. Each 4-minute audio track would be about 3MB, so I could bring 40 songs with me or so, enough for 2 albums. And of course I could play games whilst listening to music.
I can't believe it. It's my first blind date.
Oh, I do it all the time.
Really? Whew. You guys meet? Grant, Janice?
We sure did.
That was stupid. Great. This is Smart, an alphanumeric paging service for just $7.99 a month. Who else, Smarty? Call 1-800-8199 and find out what all this thing is about. We've got chemistry here. You feel it?
I felt it.
All right, Janice.
I also learnt how to compress videos, which I could then watch during my commute. There were many websites offering small MPEG videos, which you could download and play back using programs such as Pocket TV or TCP/MP, or you can encode your own using Windows Media Encoder. A minute of highly compressed video took 3 megabytes of storage space, so I tended to have about 20 minutes of videos and one album. The price of SD cards was very expensive, but I soon managed to save and upgrade to a 512 megabyte card, which allowed much more videos and many more MP3s. Videos could be played in landscape mode, and TV shows were still being broadcast in the 4:3 aspect ratio, so would fit the display nicely. As I like to travel, being able to store holiday pictures taken with either my camera phone or digital camera, I could then show them off to colleagues, family and friends. There were basic image editing programs that allowed simple manipulation of images such as increasing the brightness or contrast, so I didn't need to take my laptop with me. Laptops were also at the time very bulky and expensive. Using ActiveSync on my desktop PC, I could synchronize my inbox and calendar, so I could read my emails whilst heading to or from work, and giving me the ability to reply or forward messages. These messages then got sent the next time the PDA would synchronize. ActiveSync would reconcile any new messages as well as any deletions that I had made. I could use the calendar to see what meetings and appointments I had on the day or were upcoming, as well as schedule new meetings whilst on the go. I could invite people to meetings, and calendar invites and acceptances would get sent the next time I did a sync. Remember, these were the days where mobile data was still new. GPRS had been out for a few years but was still expensive, and 3G networks were only starting to be rolled out. 3 here in the UK had a walled garden which only allowed access to content from their network and not the wider internet, so for the time being synchronization between devices was the only option. So we've covered some interesting multimedia programs and boring work stuff, but what else could you do? What about gaming, let's say? Built into the ROM, of course, is Solitaire. And in the PocketPC 2003 ROM, which is installed on this device, is Jawbreaker, a game where you have to pop bubbles of matching colour. The more of the same colour you pop at once, the higher the score. All very exciting indeed. But can we do anything more? After all, we do have a 400 MHz Intel X-Scale processor. Well, I'm glad you asked, because the answer is yes indeed. There was quite a vibrant market for third-party applications, with a lot of them being games. And there were some developers who released emulation programs such as Pocket GNU Boy. Once installed, it turned your Pocket PC into a Game Boy or Game Boy Color. Copy over a ROM or two and open them and start playing. Emulation speed is fast, with no noticeable drops of frames or lag. Now, I'm not normally this rubbish at Tetris, but it's difficult to play as well as record the screen, as I was sitting to one side. But I played it last night and managed to get the rocket off the ground. Pocket SNES was also ported to the Pocket PC platform, allowing playback of some Super Nintendo games. However, I stupidly forgot to copy over a ROM, so I'm unable to show you any game playback. I have tested this previously and the frame rate was more than adequate, with very few drop frames. And what demo would be complete without answering the question, will it run Doom? Well, yes, my friends, it does. JimmySoftware.com released Doom for CE. which allows you to play on a variety of Windows CE and PocketPC devices. Simply install Doom for CE and copy over an iWAD and then launch. Some iWADs are large, such as the full version of the original Doom, which takes about 12 megabytes, which loads into RAM and takes a few moments to start. Now, I'm terrible at Doom. Anything that requires the use of both hands at once causes me problems. That, and I haven't really played it on the Pocket PC before, so I'm not 100% with the controls. What I can say is the frame rate is excellent and the screen technology of these devices manages to keep up with the fast-paced action. So to save myself from any further embarrassment, I'm going to quit out of the game and simply confirm, yes, you can Doom on here. The main disadvantage of the PocketPC PDA over the handheld PC is the fact that there's no physical keyboard. At the time Pocket PCs were launched, the market for handheld PCs was declining, and the form factor simply fell out of fashion. There is an on-screen keyboard in Pocket PC, but you have to have amazing accuracy to hit the keys as they're absolutely tiny. I much preferred to enter text using the letter recognizer. It was much easier to use in my opinion than Graffiti, which was used on Palm OS. It did take a bit of getting used to, but once you were proficient, you could actually input text far faster than with the on-screen keyboard. A final option was to use Transcriber, which was handwriting recognition, but my handwriting often defeated the recognition engine, leaving me to have to go back and fix mistakes, which was a lot more time-consuming. Compaq introduced this, a portable keyboard that you could plug your Pocket PC into. Once opened, you can see the keys, but from the offset it doesn't look like it has a standard QWERTY layout. Some of the keys are missing, so how is this going to help? Well, you grab both sides and pull, and the keyboard expands as if by magic, revealing the rest of the keys. You then push both sides back together and close up the gaps and pop in your Pocket PC. While the keys don't give fantastic feedback that they've been pressed, and the spacebar has to be struck exactly in the middle, once you're used to it, you can input text much faster than using the on-screen keyboard, letter recognizer or transcriber. The form factor of the keyboard also meant it could be slipped inside a pocket without being too obtrusive. Combined with the PDA, the overall volume was vastly smaller than a laptop, making it super handy for travelling. You could use the keyboard to navigate around the system. By pressing FN as well as the arrow keys, you could jump up and down. You could also access the Start menu and again using arrow keys navigate up and down. Pressing the FN key and the backspace would put the device into standby, but sadly there's no way to wake the device other than using the power button. There is a numlock function as well, which switches some of the keys into numbers. This is handy if you had to input data into Pocket Excel. Other usual keyboard functions are present, such as caps lock, the Windows key and menu keys. There aren't, however, a row of F keys. Let's take the PDA off the keyboard and look at the folding mechanism a little bit more closely. In the next episode, we're going to look at my first smartphone and why it replaced my iPAQ PDA. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.